Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining. Give everybody a second to kind of come in, get your cameras on. Again, folks, thank you very much for joining. My name is Eddie McDonald. I am the Director of Modern Applications here at XenTegra, and welcome to today's webinar. It's titled Streamline Your Workflow, Mastering ServiceNow and Citrix Integration. We've got a few panelists here. We've got Brian and Mike here from XenTegra and Amir from Citrix. So I am going to jump in and 1 second here. Here are their panelists. If you don't see our faces, there are a few shots of us right here. And I am going to start real briefly. For those of you who don't know about XenTegra ServiceNow practice, I'm going to spend 90 seconds and give you a little peek into who we are. We've been around for about 2 years. And if you look at this slide in the top right, we were actually named Partner of the Year for the specialist area for 2024. That is kind of unprecedented in your second year out. And what this does, it tells you that we have spared no expense, bringing in only the most seasoned professionals. You can look at the bottom of this slide here. We have an average of 12 years on our architects experience, an average of 8 years for our developers. So we are not a young group. We are seasoned. We have been in the area for a decade or more. We are going to lead by being consultants first. We're not order takers. We're not just going to be wrench turners. We really want to understand your business pain points and help you scale into the future. Our depth of experience speaks volumes out of who we are and our commitment to being the right partner for you. You can see also Mike Sabia is on, and he is a certified master architect. Mike, do you want to say hi real quick?
Happy to be here. Happy to discuss opportunities for Citrix and ServiceNow integrations. Eddie, I will say that while the ServiceNow practice has been around for 2 years, XenTegra has been around for 11, 12 now, and it is upon that foundation that the ServiceNow practice has been able to flourish in these 2 years that you mentioned. As a master architect, I work with our customers to best understand how their imperatives and business objectives map to the ServiceNow product so that we can provide a roadmap. And Citrix is one of those great ways to provide value for our customers.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. And thank you for the clarification. Sorry, about 99% of my day is consumed with ServiceNow conversations. So I forget that there's 100 other of us that do a lot more in this space. So thank you for that clarification. So with that, I want to pass the ball over to Amir, who's going to take it from here. Amir, welcome. And for you, I will stop sharing and you can grab the screen.
Thank you so much, Eddie. And thanks for the invite. It's always a pleasure to be collaborating with you guys on the XenTegra podcast, and now this time on this webinar. So let's take a look here. We're going to be discussing this integration with Citrix ITSM adapter service from a technical standpoint, and how ServiceNow can help you to automate workflows, to automate the user experience, self-service, and basically get a benefit from an operations standpoint. A little bit about me. I'm a product specialist engineer for Citrix. I'm based in North Carolina, and I started my Citrix journey since the MetaFrame days. And from then, I've had the chance to work with multiple customers doing Citrix implementations on-premises, cloud, and these hybrid solutions as well, and technology incubation on this modern management, and that's an example for this on ITSM adapter. I like to be very active on social media, collaborations with you guys, and my latest certifications, on my actual certifications, are a Citrix expert for on-premises and cloud solutions, and the Azure Solutions Architect expert. So happy to be here with you. And let's start talking about ITSM. This ITSM, as we know, what happens on your daily basis. As a Citrix administrator, you get in contact with your help desk team, and you realize that 30% of the overall support cases are related to Citrix. And sometimes it's just not Citrix per se, it's networking issues, authentication policies that are being pushed, and it comes with an impact to the end user. Probably users forgot their password. At the end of the day, it ends up on a support case with the help desk. And unfortunately, the way that the customer or the end user sees is Citrix is not working. So how we're going to do here is think of this ServiceNow integration with Citrix, ITSM. It's not only a troubleshooting solution, it's more than that. We're going to be utilizing this integration for troubleshooting as a first use case, but also as an onboarding tool for new users, for these existing users, to new projects, and so forth. So I would like to share this when I have this conversation with customers on three main pillars: automation, monitoring, and management of your solution. From the automation part, we have to reduce help desk calls as a first use case. We're going to be able to reset the users' sessions. We're going to be able to have power management solution on a self-service way. Also, the end user will be able to request access to published applications and virtual desktops through Citrix and this integration with ServiceNow. From the automation part as well, we have advanced features that out of the box, we have 6 workflows automated, plug and play as part of the integration. But we understand your needs. We understand that probably you need to customize these workflows. And that's where we have the integration with Workflow Designer from ServiceNow to either modify the existing ones out of the box or create your own ones from scratch. Then going to the monitoring part, we have a single pane of glass to centralize your ServiceNow requests and incidents for Citrix only. So all these days where you gotta go as a Citrix administrator and figure out which support case or ServiceNow request is for Citrix, which one is for the Windows administration team, this will be very reduced and your administration is going to be easier. Also, from the management standpoint, you're going to have graphics, statistics of how this solution is being utilized and the cost benefit that you have over this solution. So you're going to be able to see how many business hours your help desk and Citrix administrators save by providing this self-service solution to your end users and be more productive in other topics. For example, the help desk representative can be focused on other support cases not related to Citrix, or the Citrix administrator can be focused on more preventive stuff, updates on the Citrix management, and so forth. So have a better administration. So generally speaking, every single customer has this workflow. When an end user has an issue, first thing is call to the help desk. Then you get a help desk representative, this agent. They start asking questions that are based on a script that they have to fill out as part of the internal processes. And at the end, it ends on a support case. That support case is sent to the queue. You as a Citrix administrator can have 50, 60 support cases, and that's the story of your life. Just spending time having troubleshooting sessions with individual support users, that's something that goes wrong. So totally in measuring what time it takes to, from the moment that the user starts calling to the help desk to what the support case is going through the queue and the Citrix administrator starts working on it, it's 30 to 45 minutes. It's almost an hour of just time doing nothing. So what we're going to do with this integration, we're going to be targeting to reduce this time to 5 minutes or less. How we're going to achieve it? We're going to be utilizing your existing technology. We're going to be using Microsoft Teams or Slack if you already have it integrated with ServiceNow. Also, you're going to be able to enroll your mobile device to utilize the ServiceNow application. In addition to that, we support the chatbot from ServiceNow. This is one of the latest technologies that ServiceNow has on the new versions, and Citrix, it's going over all that part and saying, I want all this technology, let's integrate and let's have and provide a better user experience on that self-service. So everybody now is very familiar with these chatbots, and this is not the difference with your Citrix daily basis. So you as a user will be able to self-service and troubleshoot the issues. From an architecture standpoint, or more from our operations, we're going to be able to integrate this solution with Citrix on-premises sites and Citrix Cloud DaaS solutions. So everything is going to be ready and managed on the ServiceNow instance and through the ITSM adapter service on Citrix, which lives on the Citrix Cloud control plane. To give an example, what we have with this integration, let's talk about a hospital. This physician, it's having some issues on the station. So from the doctor's mobile device, they just start the mobile application from ServiceNow, get all this integration with Citrix. You know what? I want to reset my session, and quickly the physician, it's back with the patient, and it's not missing any important health fact. So in this example, we can see that a hospital can save thousands of hours from a help desk standpoint. So again, it's part of automating and reducing the wasting time on support and the cost benefit of the solution. As you can see here, the integration with the virtual agent, it's very simple. It's one of the latest technologies that we can have. It's an actual conversation that has machine learning capabilities, and you can also start just adding more and more features to this agent. So Citrix is one of those. Any other third-party integrations with the agent will supplement all your environment and the user experience. I'm going to show you how this user experience looks like.
Hey, Amir, that was fantastic, and thank you. Before you get into the demo, Brian, not to put you on the spot, but we, XenTegra itself, use the Citrix integration. Do you want to highlight any particular use that we find most valuable?
Sure, we definitely use it more on the user provisioning side. So it's not uncommon for us to consume and drink our own champagne, as some people like to put it. That we are growing tremendously, and we provide our users multiple methods of access to our environment. One of those being a desktop, and so the ability to provision desktops on the fly as we grow is incredibly useful to us, right? And if you've ever had to do Citrix administration from a day-to-day standpoint, right, you have to, there's a couple of different ways to do it. You could use Active Directory groups, you could use Azure AD, you could use Okta. So having all of that automated through ServiceNow, where we can just say, here's a user, here's where they belong, and then ServiceNow magically puts them everywhere they need to go and provides access to all the things that they need to, really saves us a lot of time on the service desk side, so that we aren't manually moving users between groups. And so that's really where we use it. Fortunately for us, we have a very stable environment. We don't have to use that chest and reset stuff too often, but it is there if we do need it. And we are looking to implement that chatbot, not just for Citrix, but the chatbot in ServiceNow is incredibly powerful. And with the latest advancements in now, you can really drive a lot of cool and unique workflows. Particularly that, we are a big Slack shop as well, and the ability to integrate that chatbot with Slack. So rather than having to log into ServiceNow, you can just send a Slack message and get that same functionality is something that we are eyeing very heavily to do for ourselves.
Thanks, Brian. Amir, love to see the demo that you provide.
Yeah, absolutely. And what Brian said, this technology of the virtual agents, it's awesome, to be honest. And what I'm going to show you here, it's a recording of a session, a real user experience. And the first thing that you will notice is that we are providing access to the ServiceNow portal through Citrix Workspace app. That's not mandatory. You can keep utilizing your traditional ServiceNow portal, but it's good to know that you can do this external layer of security through the through the Workspace app. Once on that, we're going to be launching the portal on a secure browser from Citrix. And the first thing, and I'm going to make a pause here, is a knowledge base. A good educated end user will save you a lot of time and a lot of headaches. If we provide the tools with good documentation, the adoption of the solution is going to be easier. So the Citrix administrator in charge of this integration can create documents, guides to the end users to just walk them through what is going to happen if you click in this place. And this is one of the examples that I have here with Citrix. And I created guides on how to request a desktop from the ServiceNow integration, how to troubleshoot my session, what happens if I reset my session from the ServiceNow console. So I'm more familiar with the process. I don't have to call the help desk just to start utilizing the tool. So in this example, request a virtual desktop. I'm just showing the step-by-step how to do it. So the next time that I require to utilize it, I know what to expect. Then they request something, and just remember, this portal from ServiceNow, you can customize it. Basically, what you do is to add widgets to the portal, and the Citrix integration is going to be one of those. On request something, that's where we're going to add the Citrix out-of-the-box features, and I'm just going to go back just a little bit here and make a pause, because I want to show you what we have as a plug and play. This is the end user view. You can see request desktop first, reset session on the right hand, troubleshooting, request applications, power management, and reset user profiles. So having this capability as an end user, basically you're saving all your time. I'm going to show you how to request access to a desktop first. It's pretty simple. Instead of going through the whole authorization process, let's say if you are a new employee or you are in a new project and require access to a more powerful virtual desktop, or just you need a small size desktop for your daily basis, you can grant access as a Citrix administrator to these applications and desktops. Also, if you have certain type of resources, apps or desktops that you want to trigger the, let's say, authorization to get access to the resource, you can trigger it as well. So you can have both flavors. And as you can see here on the screen, I just select the resource that I want to have to access to. ServiceNow creates automatically a request. And if this resource is pre-configured to be automatically approved, it will close it. But at the end, you're going to have track of all the ServiceNow requests that the users are generating. The same thing is going to happen with the virtual agent or the chatbot. On the left side, I have my virtual desktop, Windows 10, and it's not working. It's doing nothing. It's in hang state. So I'm going to utilize my virtual agent to reset my session. So instead of spending almost an hour to kill my session, I have it here in a couple of minutes. So this is an active conversation where the chatbot, it's doing some Citrix administration task. You as a Citrix administrator are very familiar with the process. Instead of going to the Citrix director, search for the user account, search or see the active and disconnected sessions under that account. That's what ServiceNow is doing in your behalf. This is part of the automation that we are doing with the ITSM service. When you see here on the screen, the chatbot is saying, give me a minute to check a couple of things. Basically, what it's doing a query to the database and find the active and disconnected sessions. The result, the chatbot is going to tell you, this is the session that I found. Please confirm that this is the correct one that you want to reset. Yes, and on real time, my session is reset. And as an end user, I can go back to work very quickly. In worst case scenario, after resetting my session or resetting my, my user profile, I still have the same issue. I can keep the ball rolling and create a support case. But I don't have to go to this help desk for an hour now. ServiceNow already has my username, my location, and the resource that I have access to. So basically, what I'm doing here is enumerating all the resources that I have. And with a single click, I'm just going to select the resource that is having issues. I'm going to provide some information about it, and automatically, ServiceNow is going to create a support case and assign it to the Citrix administration team. Again, cost benefit, support engineer was not in the phone for 45 minutes, and the support of Citrix, it's getting that case automatically and quickly. Now, how can we achieve that? I'm going to explain to you the architecture, how everything happens behind the scenes. We are talking about two cloud services. In one hand, we have the ServiceNow instance, and in the other hand, we have the Citrix ITSM service hosted on the Citrix cloud. First, on the ServiceNow side, we're going to need two components to make this work. The first one is the orchestrator plugin. That basically, this is the one that makes all the automation on the ServiceNow. The second part is to install the Citrix ITSM connector plugin. That it's a small piece of software that you download from ServiceNow store, and in a couple of minutes, it's completed. What we do with this connector, we are going to be creating tables on your ServiceNow instance, all related to Citrix. So basically what is going to happen is this synchronization between your Citrix database and your ServiceNow tables. And that's how we're going to be able to enumerate all the resources, configure the look and feel for the user experience. In the other hand, from the Citrix Cloud standpoint, we already have the Citrix Cloud, the Citrix ITSM connector installed. You don't have to do anything. We just have to enable ITSM service, and that's it. In the case that you are working on an on-premises Citrix site, you're going to need a small piece on the play. That's the cloud connector, that it's a Windows Server virtual machine that will act as the bridge between your on-premises site and the Citrix Cloud Control Plane. So by doing that, You don't have to migrate your Citrix workload to Citrix Cloud or anything like that. It's just very transparent. You just connect this cloud connector, make the bridge, and you are all set. Now, we're talking about two cloud services, so they have to know each other. How we're going to do that? Through an application registration that it's basically an API client and secret for both sides. And that's where from ServiceNow, I'm going to register my Citrix ITSM adapter service and vice versa. From the Cloud Console, I'm going to register my ServiceNow instance. And doing that, I'm going to have this bidirectional communication between both. And as part of this integration, we're going to have role-based access and permissions. And this is just 3 of all the handful of different roles that we can provide from an administration standpoint. The most used, it's full admin permissions, help desk, and end user. You already saw the end user experience with the 6 out-of-the-box workflows. From an administration standpoint, you're going to have more. In particular, you're going to have add machine creation services, virtual machines, deprivation static desktops, and process employee separation. And I'm going to show you during the demo on the administration part how this works. So before going to the demo, guys, on your experience with a customer interactions on ServiceNow and discussions on this integration in particular, what's the feedback? What you've seen on the field? Maybe Mike or Brian, you have any experience with a customer doing integration or this discussion of planning these type of integrations?
So for myself, I had worked when I was at a previous partner, a healthcare organization who was needing to do Citrix resets. Something got hung, and rather than having to call in, they had that type of virtual agent, and that enabled them to get their service right away, and it was powerful for them. Amir, what I think if you showed today is it's a fairly straightforward integration, but it can be customized to your needs. If you wanted to have a slightly different virtual agent conversation or experience, those are absolutely adaptable. But ultimately, this is helping the end users get their needs addressed quickly and without needing to wait on anybody else or call in and speak to somebody else. Brian,
correct.
anything you want to add on about the satisfaction of your customers who are using this?
Yeah, I would think that the major holdback here is that the Citrix teams are usually isolated from the ServiceNow teams. So getting those two teams to talk together is really where we come in as a partner, and we offer that extra value to say you can use ServiceNow in not just a service desk role, but as an integration role with all the rest of the products that you bring to your technology organization. So where we really struggle at, and where we really have to show the value with our customers, is that these things are peanut butter and chocolate, as our founder Andy Whiteside likes to mention. So once they see it, seeing is believing, and it's a lot of people think that if I have to do a ServiceNow integration, I'm sure Eddie and Mike will back me up here, is that sometimes it can be scoped for a lot of time and a lot of money, and it's not that case with Citrix. It can be. This is a very canned. There's been a lot of thought to make this as time efficient as possible, and it's not going to be, a 6-figure project to get ITIL plugin integrated with your ServiceNow instance.
Yeah, and you'll see on the console, it's very flexible. That's what I love this integration. You have the power of create from scratch or use the power, the plug and play out of the box features that we have. So it's just as you do it with the customers, we understand their needs and translate it to ServiceNow automated actions. So it's not a single flavor, it's just what the customer needs. It's what we can do with this solution. I'm going to show you the administration console. First thing that you're going to see when you complete this integration, you're going to get access to this tab under your ServiceNow administration console. The Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktop services. You already know how the resetization works, how to request a Dex or an application. And let's take a look to how to automate a way to add virtual machines to your machine catalogs and delivery groups. And what I've seen with and work with other customers is this helps if you have offshore Citrix admins and you want a quick to have them up to speed quickly, actually, and don't give him access to the studio console so fast. You can utilize this part. The way it works in a single pane of glass, instead of going to the studio console, add machine catalogs, edit it, select the hypervisor that you want to do, the master image, enter your admin credentials to join into the main, the virtual machine, and so forth. And then when the virtual machine is completed, allocate those virtual machines to the delivery group. You can simplify this from ServiceNow. Basically, you're just going to select the number of machines that you want to add, select the machine catalog, the delivery group where I want to allocate those machines, and then the power state. As you know, if you have your virtual machine up and running immediately, it will trigger the VDA registration process. In other words, your new virtual machine, your new virtual server or desktop is going to be available for the users on a single click and for the next request. So you are saving a lot of time, training, security access, and basically automating this process. When you do the provision and a static desktop, and I'm going to show you in another console, it's basically you can create a policy. And that's a use case, a real use case that I've worked with customers is, Amir, help me to automate these, how to deprovision desktops, because I have a policy, a PowerShell script, or basically I'm doing manually to see what virtual desktops are not being used for the last 30 days. And it's money that I'm just wasting, that it comes with a cost. So customers can automate this through a policy, putting a red flag on a virtual machine that has not been utilized for 30 days or so, then put it on maintenance mode, and then either remove it from the machine catalog or delete the virtual machine itself. And last but not least, the process employee separation, as the name stands, is when a user leaves the company, you don't have to go to every delivery group or Active Directory group and remove the account from all the Citrix published resources. Instead of that, with a single click, you just select the user account and automatically you remove the user from those Citrix published apps and desktops. Very convenient for security purposes and to have a better Citrix administration on your environment. Now, on the architecture diagram, I show that when you install the connector, you create tables on your ServiceNow instance. And these tables are going to be synchronizing with your Citrix site database. What's the result? This is an access with read-only permissions to your studio console. You still manage your resources from the Citrix administration console, but you're going to be able to be very granular and say, I want this virtual machine or this virtual desktop to be available for request through ServiceNow to my end users. As you can see, I cannot change any property of my virtual desktop. It's telling me where it lives, what version of the operating system I have. And here with a single checkbox, I'm going to make it available for my users. So when they click on request a desktop, the drop-down menu will show this resource. Now, if I want to enable the automatic approval, I just have to click another checkbox and that's it. And in top of that, if I want to add some approvers to an Active Directory group, I can select this through that integration with my AD. So this is how I can be very granular on what access I'm providing to my end users. And by the way, by default, everything it's false. Everything it's not allowed unless you enable this resource to be available through ServiceNow. For the use case of decommissioning these static desktops, this is where we're going to be doing this. Again, this is my virtual desktop, single session, static, but I want to start deprovisioning. I want to make this automatic. What I'm going to do, I'm going to specify for how long this virtual desktop has been idle. 30 days. After those 30 days, just put a check mark, a red flag for another 15 days. And then once it's completed those 45 days, probably your end user was on PTO or they just leave the company or it's not longer required. So after this time it's completed, I'm going to automate the deprovisioning and say, I want you to keep the desktop, just unassign the virtual desktop from that specific user and keep it available for the next request, or I want to save money and destroy the virtual machine. So this is what we have from a automation part. Now, on the statistics and reports, we want to have information about how my solution is being used. I'm going to have how these requests trend have been done on a period of time. And this is going to help me as a Citrix administrator to identify spikes on issues. Probably during a week, I got a lot of session resets. And then I can start troubleshooting what happened, if it was a group policy apply, or it was a server that was not accepting sessions, something like that. Or during the holiday session, for example, it was an increase of requesting virtual desktops because I have new employees to support all the workload. And on this graph, we're going to be breaking down the type of request from a Citrix standpoint, and having this information will show you how many business hours was invested or saved from a Citrix administrator and the help desk agents. Any comment here, guys? As part of the benefits that we have with this integration, how do you feel on these customer conversations? Any feedback that you've had about use cases, how they visualize the automation of these on the daily basis?
I mean, I would say in general, the ability to visualize the benefit is great. It's fantastic. It allows the person who's doing the work to justify the work, to be able to say, hey, this is what we did and we were successful. Loving it.
Yep.
Additionally, it allows you to see if users are continuing to have trends among specific users. So, is it always the same users that are having to do the session resets? Is also an invaluable tool from when the human being has to actually take a look.
Yep, agree. And the customers, they started using this modern administration, this modern management with this type of tools. So you don't have to have a huge help desk team when you have this type of solutions. And it's all the adoption, all these new technologies that we're utilizing as a customers. And we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. It's just utilize the technology that you already own from a ServiceNow standpoint and from Citrix as well. Now, for those customers that want or require a more advanced customization outside the out of the box that we have, you can customize those ones very simple, utilizing workflow editor on ServiceNow. So as you can see, we have all the different out of the box ones that we have on Citrix marked with a CTX. We have the deprovisioning, machine creation services, session reset. That's the one that I'm showing on the screen right now. So by just clicking on the component, it will give you access to add more parameters. For example, if I don't want to automate the approval on my process, I can add triggers to send an email notification to the manager of the team and approve the resource. Same thing, if I want to create a custom workflows, basically what we are doing with this ITSM connector is we're adding all the APIs from Citrix, and you are able to integrate third-party solutions that we have here in this environment: Azure Active Directory, PowerShell, props. So you can do any type of integration that you desire. Also, you can use Flow Designer to just start from scratch. Drag and drop all these widgets and create your custom workflow, adding Citrix capabilities and a ServiceNow as well. The other part that I want to show you is on my, here it is. You can create a workflow with Flow Designer and any other automation solution that you have. How we're going to be configuring this, the last part of the webinar. On ServiceNow store, you can just search for Citrix, install the connector, and it will give you all the information about what ServiceNow versions are supported by the connector. As you can see, we support the latest ones: Washington, Vancouver, and Utah. And working together, and that's the conversation we had with Mike and Brian. ServiceNow team, it's a separate entity on the company usually. So the ServiceNow team can have access to all the detail of what this connector does. We have documentation validated by ServiceNow on it's an approved piece of software that it's completed with all the requirements by ServiceNow. So we are good on that. It's certified application, as you can see. Very simple. You sign in on your ServiceNow account, click on get it, and it will be installed. All right. So let's wrap it up. Just keep in mind that this solution, again, will give you capabilities of automation, monitoring, and management. Remember that you are facilitating your end user with session resets and access to applications and desktops for onboarding. And also you're going to be able to customize all these with your ServiceNow team, developing solutions basically for your need, for any of your needs. It will be a cost benefit. You already own it from both sides, ServiceNow and Citrix. Just keep using it. And from the documentation, working with XenTegra, and also by the Citrix side, we have documentation about this POC integration, where you can just see here in the QR code. I had a chance to be the person who created the document with other teammates, and you can follow for a quick and small POC. So any question from the attendees, all the panelists, I'm just gonna stop sharing and open the microphone for any question.
Amir, I saw that when you were showing the ServiceNow store page, it did say free, which is there's no cost for the additional store app. Is there any considerations on the Citrix side to have this?
Yes, it's part of the licensing. I recommend all customers to have this conversation with the account technologies that are assigned, or in this case, or any partner that they're working with, and to see the status of their entitlement. Basically, it's included in almost all the licensing modules, but at the end of the day, that's a good conversation to have there.
Thank you.
Yep.
Amir,
Anything-
being a Citrix shop, that we don't really have to do a lot of internal training because we already know it. So getting the outside view of how long it takes people who don't have as much Citrix experience as us to get the value out of this and to learn how to use it, what would you say the estimated time is for them to really pick up and run with it?
If you want to do this POC or the full integration with the out-of-the-box features, can tell you in a couple of days you are all set. Because that's basically a plug-and-play solution with the 6 automated workflows for the end user. So the only thing that you have to do is install the connector, create this communication API registration for both services, and you are all set. So it's very straightforward. For custom optimizations, for custom workflows, that's where the customer works either with their internal ServiceNow developers or through Citrix partners like you.
Got it. Thanks.
From the participants, I don't know if we have any question.
If you do have questions, you are welcome to reach out to XenTegra at any point, and we'd be happy to discuss this with your colleagues, with your management, your end users. Please feel free to ask us any questions or concerns, either now or post this webinar.
Yeah, and thank you, Mike. And Amir, that was a fantastic demo. I am a ServiceNow guy and I learned a lot. That was really fantastic. I really appreciate the detail and the work that you put into that. Of course, we do have the Citrix expert here as well, Brian and Mike being the ServiceNow certified master architect. So between the 4 of us, there's pretty much nothing we can't do between the Citrix and ServiceNow space. So I really, really appreciate your time and all of your, again, your attention to detail during this demo. For everybody else who's listening, thank you very much. We appreciate your time. And as Mike said, if you have any questions at all, please do not hesitate to reach out. We are here for you and we look forward to talking soon.
Thank you so much for your time, guys.
Thank you.
And thanks for the invite. Always a pleasure.